This is relatively a new cultivar of peperomia known as Peperomia albovittata Piccolo Banda, and this cultivar came out of the Netherlands, and albovittata just means lengthwise white stripes. So I think typically the species would probably have a little bit more white stripes along the veins, and this one happens to have this kind of burnt umber color. So it was specifically selected and then cultivated, and that's how this variety actually came to us in the market. But this has been very interesting. I've had this only for about, I would say, 4 or 5 months. This was a gift from one of my friends, and I am growing this in pretty low light conditions right now, and I'm testing it out. Seems to be growing very well. I don't water it very much. One, because it's this semi-succulent plant, and I have a tendency that if you are watering your peperomia, especially the ones that are succulent or semi-succulent, they have a tendency to kind of rot. And this really reminds me very close to Peperomia caperata, just the kind of like look of it, the appeal, the way that the petioles actually feel on this plant. And Peperomia caperata, if you have a tendency to overwater, it'll just like turn to mush, especially just along the base. So you want to be very mindful of that. Now, like I said, I'm actually growing this in a little bit more lower light condition. It would probably love a bit more moderate light, and it's just I don't have the space for it right now. So I have to be mindful of this, because if it starts to look a little bit lackluster, then I'm going to have to kind of move it and give it a little bit more light, or at least augment it with a bit of a grow light. But I would say typically these are good in medium light conditions. And during the spring and summer months, you're going to want to give it a really well-balanced fertilizer. Pretty much on a bi-weekly, you could get away with a little bit more of a monthly basis, because these plants are small. They're not going to be growing in huge amounts unless you're probably giving it like the most perfect conditions. But you know, given that this is a plant that's typically from Ecuador, it's going to be growing a little bit more epiphytically. You're going to want to give it a little bit more medium humidity, but I've actually also found growing in my home in a lower humidity condition, it's not going to be complaining all that much. And for the small amount of time that I've actually had this plant, I've had no pest pressures on it whatsoever, so that's always a good sign.